Okay, today I'm at the United Methodist Church next to Glynn Academy. Good to see this forum for the county commissioners, see what they stand for.
You can take a seat. We'll get started. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Beautiful day today. Looks like the groundhog was correct. Bo Clark, County Commissioner. We've got two races here represented for Board of Commissioners. One is District 2, which covers St. Simon's Island, and we've got 3 candidates that have declared so far. And then we have the at-large race. Just have Elizabeth Atkins with us tonight. Walter Rafalski, the incumbent, got called into something after, I think they had a work session today, the Board of Commissioners. Walter, the incumbent at large, was not able to attend, all right? Now, I will acknowledge we have one other individual that plans to run and qualify for that, and he and I have an understanding when he qualifies and takes the oath as a Republican, then we will welcome him to this table, okay? Be fair, and let's just see if we can have some good engagements, okay? Fair enough? That's all I have, so let me bring the microphone to the center. Primarily about your bio. We're going to come back about a question about your priorities. So just tell us about yourself. Elizabeth Atkins.
Okay, my name's Elizabeth Atkins, and I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and my family goes way, way back. My great-grandfather actually was one of the city leaders and met Sherman at the gate. That's a story. But, so I love Georgia, I love Atlanta, I love Savannah, and I love it here. I came down here in 2005. It seems like yesterday, but of course that was a pretty long time ago. And I hit a wedding company holiday. So I learned real fast how to organize and get everything going on. It was just neat. And then after that, 2008 hit, and nobody wanted to book a wedding down here anymore. And the economy collapsed. We remember all of that. And so then I came up with a bright idea, just within a few months of that, to have a conference called Scribblers Retreat Writers Conference. And that's my biggest contribution to this area. Scott McClay told me that I've done with this county. Now the other thing I did, and this is important, I'm actually a veteran, I found out. I had no idea that flying for the Civil Air Patrol for 3 years, which I did, 2 or 3 times a week for 3 years, it made me, number one, aware of the way the government worked, because Glynn County was paying for all of that. And then we would get assignments, and I would have to point out certain things I cannot tell you about, and I help save lives.
Background is moved to here, to Glynn County actually in 1960. We lived here on the mainland. Grew up here, went to school here. Was in the first graduating class at Brunswick High School. Afterwards, attended what was then known as BJC. Some of you know it today as the Georgia Community College. Coastal, thank you. But I completed my undergraduate studies at Southern Tech, which was part of Georgia Tech at the time as an electrical engineering student. Worked in the utility, energy development, right-of-way management. So I built my first last house over in Sea Palms about, almost 10 years ago now. But a little bit about my governance experience. I was elected in 2018 to represent you on the Brunswick-Glynn County Joint Water and Sewer Commission. I've served 4 years there.
I'm running for Board of Commissioners for District 2, which are the islands. We've been down here in Georgia for about 10 years, going on 10 years. We came down for a job for my husband, who's with me tonight, that he got at S&F Chemicals, that's a couple hours north. I'm a math professor. I think my 30 years of experience in education has really given me a lot of knowledge about how to work with people, how to get together with them, how to make things happen, and how to build consensus with others with things that want to get done. We have 2 sons that are grown. One's in Washington, another one's in Kentucky. I don't take anything lightly, and I'd do the same approach as a commissioner. I would dig into everything that we were looking at, and if it's a problem, you know, try to find a solution for all of us that works. And I appreciate your time tonight being here, and I look forward to your votes. Thank you.
I'm George Ragsdale. I lived here the first time in '82 to '85. My undergraduate degree is chemical engineering. I worked for Scott Paper Company. At the time that I came down here, Scott owned half the pulp mill with me, Paper Company. And I was sent down here on an assignment from Scott. I lived here for 3 years. I moved out. But when I lived down here in '82 to '85, it gave me a sense of a kind of a community that I wanted to retire to, that I wanted to live in. And so we decided then that we wanted to retire down here when we finally stopped working. And we did that. We've been here now since 2013. I moved from Pennsylvania. When I was in Pennsylvania, I was the chair of the local planning commission. When I moved down here, I was very involved in community activities in what now is the city of Milton.
Geographic sketch of each of you, and I know the audience appreciated it, probably learned some things we didn't know. So let's get into the questions. First topic subject is economic development and job creation. Glynn County is a medium-large county, approximately number 30 at 159. We have a population of 85,000. So what ideas for sustainable economic growth, other than tourism, do you have for the county at large? We'll start with Elizabeth and Bill.
That will cause, and already is, I drove through Carriage Gate the other day, that there's a lot of building going on, and there will continue to be, and there needs to be. I'm a realtor by profession now, although pretty much semi-retired, and I've been a realtor since 1982, so I'm qualified to understand about the opportunity that I see for that, as I said, it extends out into development. We can develop the areas that need development. You'll see I have great plans also for some housing and some money that will come from the governor. That's kind of like a little secret surprise. So there are ways, and if you're well connected, and I am.
So, what do we do to sustain economic growth in Glynn County? You know, as a commissioner, probably the one best thing that can be done is to remove regulatory oversight that doesn't generate value in the people's eyes or in those who are producing jobs. So we have to be sure that we are true Republicans in that we believe in less government. So if we have less oversight, but we have the correct oversight as folks begin to move to the county and they want to grow their businesses here, I see that as a plus in terms of what a commissioner should do.
Economic development group already that helps us get jobs together, and I'm more than prepared to support whatever they find for the county. On the islands, we're kind of out of room for development. All we have really left is on the north end, we could use a shopping center, a grocery store, a drugstore maybe, but in the islands, development's kind of done. Maybe redevelopment possibly, but there's nothing new to do there. And I agree with Elizabeth, we have a lot of opportunity at ports with the Hyundai plant up north, and a lot of things are gonna happen for us, and I saw that maybe we're gonna get an electric battery plant that we can support, and if we're talking sustainable development, the Perry site, I don't know if you guys know this, the EPA site is ready for redevelopment, and it's between 2 train tracks, and that would be sustainable to reuse that property. That would be great.
My whole career in the forest products industry because it replants what it uses. It's very sustainable. One of the things I think for Glynn County is that Glynn County needs to decide what they want to be, what we want to be. We shouldn't be in a position where we're relying exclusively on tourism. I think we have got to create for ourselves a reason for being. we've got to decide whether we want to try and attract businesses and industry here that either uses the skill sets we already have, or else we've got to decide that we're going to create the skill sets that we need in order to be able to attract the kind of industry we want. One of the problems right now, I think, is that we've got people who are businesses that may want to come here, but if they are not highly skilled, they're not going to be highly paid and not be able to afford housing here. People being able to come here and afford housing and work here is an issue. Work, live, play is a nice idea.
Management. With our population growth and road condition has become a daily topic, complained by some people. And it's a concern for both the mainland and the islands. It's not just a Frederica issue. What solutions to traffic management and those known hotspots do you suggest? Bob?
Thank you. So I'll talk broad first and then address some of the congestion areas. I think we need to have a 20-year plan for Glynn County that's detailed enough by project and scoped adequately enough so that we look ahead 20 years, we know what our priorities are, and we know what the potential cost is going to be. Then we raise the money to do it. There's a number of ways to do that. We're using SPLOST today on a number of infrastructure projects, but even with the SPLOST influx of tax money, you can still run into cash flow issues. And that means you got to go to the market, either slow your projects down or you go to market and sell bonds to finance projects.
Study the 20-year plan. The only thing that he didn't mention was the BATS committee. We have a committee to do this, and we don't utilize it. And we need to fully utilize the Brunswick Authority Transportation Group to get that 20-year study done and to get volunteers on it to look over the studies and to come up with that 20-year comprehensive plan. We have the committee. We need to staff it. We need, well, it's volunteers, but we haven't really looked that hard to find the volunteers. They're out there. There's a lot of quality people that have an opinion on it and know what they'd like us to do. And we'll read through it all and come to an agreement as a group. That's the problem we're having as a community, is coming to an agreement about what's the best idea. What should we do? Should we do the roundabout? Should we just add some turn lanes? Do we want to do another causeway? We need to come to an agreement as a group about what to do. That's Brunswick. The BATS group would be a terrific way to get that done, to come up with an agreement that everyone can live with.
2 20-year plans. We have a comprehensive plan that's supposed to be for 20 years. We have a BATS plan that's supposed to be for 2045. The problem with both of those is that they aren't actionable plans. Until you can define what traffic needs to look like, what the growth needs to look like, you can't define or devise a traffic plan to accommodate that. There are any number of lots that have already been platted at the north end of St. Simons Island, have already been approved, not yet built. We don't know, and we were doing the comprehensive plan in 2018, we talked about the fact that we needed to know what the build out of the island looked like. That's yet to be defined. Until you define what the build out looks like and where those houses are going to go or where that growth is going to go, how can you develop a traffic plan to accommodate that? Section at Sea Island, Frederica, and not deal with Atlantic and not deal with the lake.
Not only read the BATS report, put out by 2 different engineering companies, understood the whole thing. I also worked for Deloitte & Touche about forensic accounting, by the way. I'm very talented and very experienced. And I'm telling you, the BATS plan is absolutely fascinating.
About SPLOST as a means of funding infrastructure, number one, and the improvements, and how is it currently being managed? What's your observation of that?
SPLOST overall, it's not being managed very well. We don't really understand where the money's going. And we could use some more accountability for that. We used to have a committee that kept an eye on it, and it'd be great if we got that committee back to keep an eye on the SPLOST money. Overall, I'd like who's responsible for the growth to pay for it. I'd like to have some impact fees to cover the new growth. I don't think the rest of Glynn County should be responsible for the cost of what's happening on St. Simon's Island and the explosive growth that's going down over there. I want impact fees. Everybody wants some impact fees. It's only fair. We shouldn't have to pay for the new growth.
To pay for it, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's being managed properly?
I support it because it provides an opportunity to help defray the cost of some of the infrastructure needs. The taxpayers don't have to foot the whole bill. Is it being managed well? I would cop out a little bit and say I think it's being managed better than it was. There's always room for improvement. I think the county has made an effort this time around to be more visible with the public in terms of this.
And yes, the splosh, it is as George said, I'll echo what he had to say, is that it's a way to defray the costs for people who are paying the taxes in the county, essentially. So our visitors help fund projects that are identified in splosh. How well is it running? Well, as a citizen, I look at it and they report out periodically by the projects, on track, off track. Now for me, with my background, frankly, I'd rather see more granularity. It may exist within staff. When I watch the SPLOS update meetings, there's no challenges from anybody who happens to sit there and listens to the update. So I'm comfortable that it's running pretty good considering how the last group of projects was managed. This one's going quite well. Again, for me, it needs to be more granularity to satisfy me.
Visitor, we mentioned tourism. How do you feel about Glynn County's history and success with attracting visitors, some of which are one-time tourists, some become seasonal returnees, and some of them decide to retire here? Are we on the right path? Do you suggest any changes?
We depend on tourism. I think that the Convention and Visitors Bureau does a great job of attracting people. I think that they have reached a point where they don't need to keep trying so hard. The amount of money that they get out of the bed tax, they're always asking for more to do more, and they do a good job with it. But I think we should be giving them only what they are required to get under law, and let the rest of it be used for the rest of the county.
And I'm not allowed this side, which is a short-term rental, but anyway.
We're going to get specific about that.
Okay, good.
That's the next question.
Tourism is really what drives our economy. It really is. And certainly on the islands. And again, you want me to talk about Glynn County.
You're running that large, are you not?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think that maybe, and I have some ideas about this, that we can do some things, some clever things. They're very artistic, talented people in Glynn County. Maybe have chili cook-offs or things like that off the islands, but not necessarily in the city of Brunswick.
Oversubscribed in my view for the tourism, particularly for St. Simon Sea Island. Our Convention and Visitors Board has done an excellent job of attracting people here. Many people have moved here since 1976, and we've had waves after waves of folks come here to become residents. What I think we can do more of is divert some of those dollars to the mainland and promote our mainland portion of the county, where I think it's probably lacking from what it could be. So, as far as the tax dollars go, there's the tax law that exists about those dollars is basically you collect it from that industry. It's got to be used to promote that industry, tourism, within the two islands.
Okay.
That the islands have enough tourism. And we could use more over in Glynn County. I think it's interesting on social media. They'll ask questions about, they'll ask on the islands, we're coming down, what should we do? And everyone has great answers for them, what they need to do, what tourist activities there are to do. But occasionally you get a question, well, we're going to be in Brunswick. What are we going to do in Brunswick? And they always inevitably, they might say this one restaurant, Reed's. We'll stick with Reed's. Yeah, they suggest that one. And overall, they don't really suggest anything else. They suggest going to the islands. So like everybody here said, we need to focus our money and the tourism on the mainland. There's lots of opportunities there. We have the waterfront down by the port, and the downtown is just gorgeous, and it's got a lot of history, and it needs to be maximized more, and also to give the tourists that already come down here another place to go and visit while they're here. So more options to do.